200,000 units are ready, with 1 million more well on the way. Lama Su delivers that line like a shipping confirmation, and Obi-Wan just nods. Nobody in that room asks the question that matters. Who is paying for 3 million lunches a day? So let's start with something small. Armor. Clone armor has a price in canon. 2,000 credits for Phase 1, 3,000 for Phase 2. Halfway through the war, the Republic reshells the entire army. 3 million men, 3,000 credits each. 9 billion credits. A Venator-class Star Destroyer costs 59 million, so the Republic just spent 152 Star Destroyers on new outfits for soldiers it already owned. Not weapons, not ships, hats. And that's the cheap part. That's the rounding error. Now, I love these guys, and this isn't a video about the clone army being stupid. It's a video about the clone army being unstoppable in the worst possible way. Unstoppable as an expense. Because an army isn't courage, or white armor, or ranks marching through Kamino and rain. An army is a stomach that never closes, multiplied by a very large number in a galaxy where the nearest farm is 4 jumps away. So let's follow one. The ledger calls him CT-4471. He is not a hero, he has no arc, and he will never say anything memorable. He is a line item, and he is about to explain the fall of the Galactic Republic better than the Senate ever did. CT-4471 is decanted on Kamino roughly 10 years before Geonosis. From the second he exists, he eats. A soldier in the field burns somewhere between 3 and 4,500 calories a day, and combat is not a desk job. Let's be generous to Kaminoan efficiency and call it 4,000. One man, 4,000 calories. Fine, now multiply. 3 million of him is 12 billion calories a day, every day, forever. That number means nothing to a human brain, so let's convert it into something you've held. A Big Mac is 563 calories. The Grand Army of the Republic eats 21 million Big Macs a day, not per campaign, not per battle, per day, including the days when absolutely nothing happens. And that's the part everyone misses. On a quiet Tuesday with no engagement anywhere in the galaxy, the Republic still buys 21 million Big Macs. By weight, that's roughly 4,500 tons of food a day, 1.5 million tons a year, 16 million tons across the war. And food is the light stuff. Give each man 4 liters of water, drinking only, no washing, no cooling, and remember they sweat inside sealed plastoid in Geonosian summer. That's 12,000 tons of water a day. The water outweighs the food nearly 3 to 1. Water is the heaviest thing in every war ever fought, and nobody ever puts it on the poster. So now ask who carries it. In real militaries, the ratio of shooters to everyone else is brutal. For every soldier holding a rifle, there are roughly 3 more moving fuel, food, ammunition, and casualties. The Republic can't hire a local logistics firm, because the clones are the logistics firm. Every cook, every medic, every pilot, every guy loading crates at 3 in the morning is another unit off the same invoice, which means 3 million clones was never 3 million clones. It was 3 million trigger fingers wearing a 9 million man supply chain like a coat, and somebody has to command all of that. The Jedi Order has about 10,000 members, and that includes children, archivists, and people whose entire job is sitting very still. Give the whole order to the army, and each Jedi is responsible for 300 men. In a real army, the officer at the bottom of the ladder handles 30 or 40. The Republic went to war 10 times short on officers, and solved it by promoting clones into command. That worked beautifully. It also meant the men running the war were the only people in the galaxy who couldn't vote to end it. But hold up, you're probably about to say something, and you're right. The clones were good. Not good. Extraordinary. Per credit spent, the Grand Army of the Republic might be the single best military purchase in galactic history. A B-1 battle droid is cheap, and it is also an idiot. It takes 8 of them to lose to 1 clone with a cough. The clones learn, they improvise, they name themselves, they invent tactics between missions, and they get better every year without a single credit of additional R&D. And the Kaminoans' masterstroke is real engineering. Growing clones at twice the natural rate cuts time to deploy in half, and time to deploy is the most expensive number in any defense budget on any planet, 10 years instead of 20. Lama Su, first of his name, master of the shortened procurement cycle. It worked, that's the problem. Because when you double how fast a soldier grows, you don't just have the weight, you have his life. CT-4471 ages at 2 years per year, so do the other 2,999,000 9,000. 10 years of Clone Wars puts 20 years of biological aging on the entire army at once, on a fixed schedule. Whether the Republic uses them or not, the clone army isn't an asset, it's a fruit bowl, and it rots faster than that because most casualties don't die. Modern medicine produces something like 7 wounded men for everyone killed, and that ratio is considered a triumph. It is also a budget catastrophe. A dead soldier stops costing you money. A wounded one needs a medical frigate, a Bacta tank, a surgical team, an evacuation lane, and months of recovery. Plus 3,000 calories a day the entire time he isn't shooting at anyone. Every clone the Separatists failed to kill got more expensive than the ones they did. And this is where the whole thing turns, so stay with me. Look at what the Separatists bought instead. A battle droid is inventory. You build it, you switch it off, you stack it in a hold, and it costs you approximately nothing to own. Droid armies can wait. They can sit out a bad quarter. Count Dooku can pause the war, go dark for 8 months, and his military budget goes to almost zero while he does it. The Republic cannot pause anything. A clone switched off is a clone who died. Peace costs the Republic exactly what war costs the Republic, minus the ammunition. That's it. That's the entire asymmetry. The Separatists bought a purchase. The Republic bought a subscription. And they never found the cancel button because there isn't one. Because the button is a person, okay? So buy fewer of them, renegotiate. Except you can't, and here's why. The Republic has exactly one supplier. There is no second cloning world, no competing bid, no auditor has ever set foot on Kamino, a planet quietly deleted from the Jedi archives. That is a red flag with its own red flag. When you need 5 million more soldiers, and precisely one vendor in the galaxy can make them, you do not negotiate. You ask what the number is, and you say thank you. Lama Su, first of his name, master of the sole source contract. So what happens to a government with a permanent expense, a rotting asset, one supplier, and no way to stop the clock? It borrows. Obviously it borrows, and the Republic does exactly that. On screen in canon. Year 3, the Senate is openly near bankruptcy. The fix on the table is a bill to strip oversight from the banking clan and open new lines of credit so they can afford more clones. Senator Goom Sam pushes it. Lot Dodd and the banking clan's Nix card work the room, and they are all quietly working with Dooku. Read that again. The Separatist war plan includes lobbying the Republic Senate to take on more debt at worse terms. That's not a battle. That's a hostile takeover with extra steps. And the Senate votes yes, because a bombing on Coruscant kills the peace initiative at exactly the right moment, which is the kind of coincidence that only happens when someone owns both sides of the ledger. Then the Senate approves 5 million more clones. 5 million. At Phase 2 armor prices, that's 15 billion credits before anyone gets a gun. Now, the objection I know is coming. It's a galaxy. Infinite planets, infinite money. This math doesn't scale down to Big Macs. Except money was never the constraint. Throughput was. Every gram of that food and water has to be grown somewhere, loaded somewhere, and flown through contested hyperspace lanes by ships that also need fuel. The Separatists spent the entire war strangling those lanes because they understood the actual target, not the clones, the catering. And the credits weren't infinite either, because the banking clan was Separatist aligned. The Republic financed a war against people who held its debt. There is no clever maneuver that gets you out of that. There is only a worse loan. If you enjoy watching beloved institutions get taken apart by arithmetic instead of villains, subscribe. I do this to a different fantasy world every week. So here's the verdict, in layers. The Republic could afford to build the clone army. It could just barely afford to fight with the clone army. What it could never afford under any outcome was to stop. Because think about what victory actually looks like. Dooku surrenders, the droids power down, and the Republic is standing there holding 3 million living men with one skill and no homeworld, aging at double speed toward a retirement nobody budgeted for. You can't warehouse them. You can't sell them. You can't send them home because there is no home. There's a rainy planet with an invoice on it. Winning was the expensive ending. That's the trap. We know this, by the way, because we do it. Britain won the Second World War and made its final debt payment in 2006, 61 years later. And Brown University's Cost of War project puts America's post-9/11 wars near $8 trillion. Roughly 2.2 trillion of that is veterans' care that hasn't been spent yet. The fighting stops. The invoice does not. The invoice runs a much longer campaign than the army does. And that's what makes Order 66 uglier than a betrayal. Palpatine never needed to win the Clone Wars. He needed the Republic to reach a state where where peace cost more than tyranny, where the only affordable way to close out 3 million permanent salaries was to convert the debtor itself into an empire that answers to no budget committee at all. He didn't stage a coup, he staged a restructuring. The Republic went into liquidation and the receiver wore a black hood. One last thing. CT-4471 was ordered before the war began by a Jedi who was already dead, using an authority nobody could verify, at a price nobody ever debated. That was the moment the Republic fell. Not Geonosis, the purchase order. The Republic didn't lose the Clone Wars. It won them, and it could not pay the receipt. An army you cannot switch off isn't an army. It's a debt wearing a helmet.